Hello and welcome to Against the Fence. My name's Sai, this is JK, and we are here for UFC 293. Second time we're going to be touching back down in Australia. It could be a chance for the American Sean Strickland to be going up against the African Izzy. To try
Chinese. You got that wrong.
No, I mean, look, I hear what everyone's been saying, call him Chinese and all that, but I guess the question is, African Izzy get the job done here against the
That's dreadful. Dreadful.
I like that.
Absolutely dreadful.
I really like that. But look, it's a big one. UFC 293. My favorite fight is up here. I guess a lot of people can probably assume that this shouldn't be the fight to happen, but it is. It's the one that we have.
No, I don't know. People were excited for the Dricus du Plessis fight. Dricus is not available. He's injured. But I think for the reason why people want this fight in is because they want to see the press conference, the build-up prior. Stylistically, Dricus' fight is a better fight. I think it's more of a challenge for Izzy than Strickland, but we're going to get a fun fight night nonetheless.
Well, we'll see. I mean, Strickland can upset the apple cart here. He could. That'd be strange if that does happen. But we'll get into the whole breakdown here as well, and we'll hatch all of that.
Yes.
That's what this show's all about. UFC 293.
Yes, let's get straight into it. Let's go. Can't wait to break this down.
Well, the idea, first and foremost, of these shows is that we don't teach you what to think, but we kind of show you how the thinking is done. So we'll get into the gauges a little bit later as well for each of the fights from the card. Where do you want to start, JK? At the bottom or at the top?
We'll start right at the bottom, then we'll finish off with the main event. Kicking it off, itself, as you can see there, Tyson Pedro versus Anton Turkalj then.
Indeed.
And
drop in the chats as well. Also,
we've got some fight.
Let's see what you guys got to say and get your opinions heard.
We had Jatsky tuning in. He typed in a message earlier on, says, let's go.
He's ready.
Angus says, let's go, pleasure, man. Nick's in the house. He says, is Sean going to wrestle at all? As a treat. Well, we're going to get into that a little bit later on. We talk about the main event.
True.
I can't wait to give you my opinions on whether or not he will or not. But yeah, we'll see. He said
that before, and did we see it? Did we?
Will we though? Well, has he learned his lesson from previous fights? We'll get into it. But kicking off then, Tyson Pedro versus Anton Turkalj then.
Here we go. In this red corner first today, it's 9-4-0, and then you got in the blue corner 8-2-0 as well. So fairly interesting matchup in terms of the differences. We don't have much in reach, and you don't have much in height, so I guess there's no big disparity there. But I mean, what's your take on it, JK? How do you think this?
I think we go on to the next fight then. So on the card, we've got. No, I'm joking. Angus. Angus is a big fan of Anton Turkalj, so we've been winding him up all week. But serious note, getting into this fight then. Tyson Pedro, of course. Both guys have been on a bit of a tough run. Anton Turkalj is yet to get his first UFC win. He's desperate to get that. His last win was back on the Contender Series about 2 or 3 fights ago. Tyson Pedro, he's been around for a while. He's had a bit of a rough run as of late. He's looked good before his last fight, I must admit. I thought that the Ike Villanueva fight was a good one, and then his one before that or after that wasn't I keep thinking it's Parker Porter, but it wasn't. Was it Harry Hunsucker? He looked unstoppable. But for me, I think in that Bukauskas fight, it felt like Bukauskas was kind of really thriving, being under the pressure in Australia, whereas on the flip side, Tyson Pedro was feeling the pressure because it was in his hometown. So, and I just felt, he didn't have the best of performances against Modestus and kind of slowed down quite a bit.
Modestus did generally look great in that fight. He really did.
He was on one.
I guess another way of explaining that is, of course, Pedro did look a little bit off, which, you can scratch your head at a little bit. I think in this fight, though, do you reckon it's going to be the same thing again? Could it be like Curse Ground? Could it be like whenever Derek Lewis fights in his hometown, he gets...
It could be. I'm not quite sure how many of Pedro's fights have been in Sydney, Australia, or UFC fights. Obviously, he's...
Roundtree. Khalil Roundtree.
Was that in Sydney as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Melbourne. He's had quite a fair few, to be fair. So his first fight in the UFC was actually in Australia, and he won that one, which was good. Okay. And then I guess he's been all about the place. Safarov as well. That was also in Australia. Yeah, look, it's not necessarily a bad omen for the guy. It's just that one he was off, strangely enough. I think a lot of people did count Modestas out, to be fair.
Yeah.
Everyone but me. But no, a lot of people
Yeah,
did
of course.
count him
I mean,
out.
why not? Why wouldn't you? Because it was a short notice fight as well for Modestas, and you know, in an enemy soil as well. We've got Scoot Future, Ash saying hello, boys.
Yes, Ash was good. How
Angus
are we?
saying, JK, you'll be in my bad books. Evening Lady says George Merry, welcome on in.
George?
Welcome in Rafael as well. He says, good afternoon, lads. Salute to you, Rafael. Guys, who do you reckon is going to win this fight? Is it going to be Tyson Pedro or Anton Turkalj? Get your predictions in the chat and we'll be reading them out, whether you think it's going to be knockout, a decision win. Let us know.
Quick question for you then, JK. Is where do you after the chats?
Yeah, we got Angus said Turkalj is going to sleep him.
He's confident.
Ash is welcoming everyone else. He reckons round one knockout. But I mean,
these boys are going back and forth about it here. But
I mean, for me, I really like Tyson Pedro, and I think he's got a good set of skills on him. For Turkalj, he's kind of relentless, a little bit unorthodox in his ways and just how he approaches things. But I think if he's going to cause some levels of trouble to Pedro in this fight, it probably would be on the ground.
I hear that. I mean, I'll give you a couple of things on Anton Turkalj. And here's the thing: I was watching him fight this week, and I tend to notice that he's a kind of unorthodox style fighter. Like he has success, but kind of random in a way, isn't he? He kind of comes on in quite unconventionally with his hands low, and he's just sort of striking wild. And also in wrestling as well, he tends to be a little bit wild with it. But that is also kind of where he's really dangerous, because he doesn't go by the textbooks. You know, he doesn't sort of give you what you would expect to see. And you know, whatever he's has worked to a point. He's in the UFC. I mean, the guy's got some level of. It's one of those guys you tend to point at and say, I don't know how he does it, but he just does it. But that's a pleasure, man, for you in a nutshell, from my opinion, to be fair. And again, you got Tyson Pedro. I think one of his biggest flaws in this one could be just lack of output. And if he does fall back into that kind of mental slump, then it could just be outworked by Anton Turkalj. And that's just Anton doing whatever he does. You know, they call him a pleasure man for something.
That's right. I don't know why. Ash is for some reason deleting Angus's messages. I don't know why you're doing that, Ash. Stop that. George Murray says Pedro will have a tough first, but then will come out in the second and head kick KO. Oh, wow. So big prediction from George there. He's expecting big things from Tyson Pedro. Angus says he's just got that sauce eye. Morning, Breezy. Welcome on in, Breezy. Early riser. How are you doing?
What's up, bro? Just a quick one. Don't say he's got that sauce and then follow up by calling him pleasure, man.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't go well together. Okay. Yeah. Smash the like on the video for this fight.
Yes. Now.
Striking wise,
I kind of want to start with cardio. That's right. Because one thing I do want to throw out there is the fact that Pedro has not at all won a decision. He's lost 2 decisions. And that could be a little bit route to victory for someone like Anton if he wants to be dragging this a bit long. But we've not seen this guy do a decision.
Yeah, so I mean. To be fair, we saw Turkalj go to a decision his last time out
win
against Vitor Petrino. I felt his gas tank held up in that fight. Did quite well from what I've seen. A lot of his fights prior to the UFC have been finishes, so it's been quite difficult to kind of gauge that. If we're just going off of last fights, then of course you probably give cardio to Turkalj. Of course.
I'd be confident on that, but you wouldn't be?
I'd say not too sure, you know. Yeah, okay, we'll give it to him anyway.
What about speed then? Who goes for speed?
Oh.
Turkalj's kind of got that illusion. What's the reach advantage? It's the same, really. More in Pedro's corner just by a bit. But
I'd probably I might give speed to Turkalj as well. But power would be to Tyson Pedro.
Yeah, agreed.
I think overall striking would be to Tyson Pedro.
Agreed.
We're not really sourcing this up to grappling, are we? I mean, look, Angus is getting absolute thrills right now. Look, it's 2 apiece. It's 2 apiece. Who are we going to side with it? I did say grappling early on. I'd give it to Turkalj.
Yeah, I think he might.
I don't know.
He might use it. The thing about Turkalj is he gets those grappling scenarios and then he loses it. Do you know what I mean? He's not able to really execute anything. He can't execute, stand up. He can't really execute too much in the grappling. He just kind of gets on you, just gets frantic over you and looks good on the scorecards perhaps, but nothing really gets done in terms of submission threats. I can't remember the last time I saw a real submission threat.
Ash is questioning our pick for Pedro, Pedro Speed, he's saying. To be honest, I would say Pedro Speed, if you're looking at that particular body kick that he likes to throw, because yes, that's quick and that's fast. But in terms of overall movement, I kind of think that Turkalj might be a bit faster on the feet.
Do you know what it is as well? It's kind of that lack of output that we see from time to time with Pedro. It does make you start of, you don't really peg him for much speed. Although he might have some fast hands.
He is more of a precision striker than, he picks his shots well. So, yeah, he throws quite fast, but yeah, overall speed on the feet, in terms of getting inside, maybe Turkalj. I don't know. It's a difficult one to call, though, I must admit.
And then I guess when it gets to grappling, we did say a bit earlier, we'll put that on the blue side there as well. But I guess that will probably... Now, this is a bit more...
It's not right, is it?
It's not right.
It's not. It doesn't feel right, does it? No.
That's not right. There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
There it is.
So, get some chats then. Breezy says, AJ, you hyped him up so much for how ass he was. Angus says, Breezy, he's fought 2 killers and one is literally fighting Curtis Blades next. All right, yeah. Okay, yeah, I guess. I didn't really rewatch the Jailton Maida fight because I didn't think there was any point. You just the Jailton steamrolled. So
yeah, you kind of want to look at how it was done as well. He might have fought them, but he didn't really have much damage on him.
Yeah. Angus says, lads, you kidding? Power, grappling, and striking all go to Turkalj. Pleasure man, speed, you okay, boys? Says Ash. Lads, it's not Mike Tyson. He doesn't have power. Pedro hasn't had a submission since 2016. Come on, lads, easy decision. Yeah, but I mean, 2016, you think who did he fight though?
Much better. All red corner.
2016 was his last submission. I
think
against Khalil Roundtree. I mean, yeah, okay, Khalil Roundtree's a striker in himself. Early on in the UFC as well, he got a UFC submission win. I think that's pretty decent and holds a bit of weight. Whereas not really too sure about the bums that Turkalj may have submitted in his journey through. I think that he's still got a long way to go in his game, is Turkalj. I think and seeing he got in some really good positions in his last fight against Petrino. I give him that, right? But he gave them up too easily. He took Petrino's back, I think maybe twice. Just didn't really secure it very well. So for jiu-jitsu wise, I kind of want to favour to Tyson Pedro.
I'd probably have the 3 blues on the board for Turkalj, but this just looks better for annoying Angus reasons.
Yeah. Angus says, when Turkalj wins, I want a video on Monday morning uploaded on the channel where you all apologise to me for an hour.
For an hour. It's good. I just thought he left earlier. It's good he's still in the chat. He's not gone yet.
Yeah. Breezy says, Pleasure Man must have submitted me last fight, woke up and lost. There's a good one, Angus. I will do that, mate. Decent endurance. I'll give him that. I'd definitely give him cardio.
Yeah. Oh, and also we do have to also mention his granite chin. Now, we've seen this guy take shots in his time, and he still stood there. So I think I do remember very well when I first watched him, Pleasure Man, and Angus was hyping him up so much. I was like, do you know what? This whole entire fight, I've watched him. He's not good. I'm not impressed.
He's ass.
But what? He's ass.
I'm joking.
But there was one thing that did impress me, and at the end of it, I was like, because his entries were a little bit unorthodox for me. I wasn't quite liking how he's kind of put things together. It just didn't seem polished or clean. And then by the end of it, I was just like, nah, do you know what? He's durable. He can take a punch and he can stay there throughout and just gives problems. He's just a problem, and you can't quite figure him out because he just doesn't do anything right, in my personal opinion. So I did have a bit of respect for him towards the end of it, just largely because of that chin.
Yeah, my prediction would be Tyson Pedro finish. Turkalj gets cut and then goes on a mad run at LFA. But that's a good thing, Angus. That's a good thing. You know, racks up some wins, you know, goes back to the under circuit and really grinds out, polishes his skills better, comes into the UFC second time around and becomes a bit more of a killer. That's my take on it.
In and back out. My take on it is he comes in, the pleasure man, then he leaves to pleasure man. So it's a hell of a retirement choice. But the next fight on the card, here we go. We have Justin Tafa versus Austen Lane. Now, in the red corner, we've got 6-3-0, and in the blue corner, we've got 12-3-0. One no contest, although there would also be a no contest for Justin Tafa too.
Yes.
Because that one no contest was with each other. So that's a bit of a faux pas on that.
We didn't really see too much in that fight. Nah. The eye poke came really early on. It did look like Justin Tafa was closing the distance quite well. He was controlling the centre, Austen Lane sticking on the outside and trying to utilise his kicks and to keep Tafa at bay, and then the eye poke happened. So you know, there's a lot to kind of still get through in this fight. There might be a few switches up in terms of game plan, but I think we could very well see a finish in this one.
Do you know, I was pretty surprised in the last one because I thought that Tafa would want to go second, draw out that jab and counter. However, what we did see for the short duration which it lasted, he was definitely putting on the pace. He was, like you said, he was coming to get it from Lane, which was different to what I expected. But ultimately, the theory's still the same: get in close. You know, whether he goes second to get close or whether he goes first, he wants to be in that pocket for sure.
Because he's got that Samoan power, man. You know, just like his brother, which we saw against Parker Porter, literally like 2 weeks ago. The guy is very talented. He comes from that
Tafa gang.
That tougher gang, the Mark Hunt gang of Samoans. I can't remember what the word I described it now, but they're all studs.
Come and bring that power. It's all in the veins.
I can kind of see it happening maybe again. But I mean, both guys have got like finishes on their record. I think Tafa's gone to a decision twice, which was against Carlos Felipe and Jared Vandeera. But other than that, he got finished early on in his UFC debut. But other than that, he's been finishing dudes in like the first round. Then on Austen Lane, on the other hand, all pretty much finishes. To fight someone like Justin Tafa in this would be his third UFC fight now. I think it's pretty impressive. But his finishing rate is purely what's got him there.
But look at this. I mean, the numbers on the screen, 100% of the wins from Tafa have come from knockout. He knows no other way of getting the job done. And Lane has got long hands too, and he has that power as well. It's I guess if you look at the average fight time, it's more in favor of Tafa, so it does make the number a little bit more impressive.
Yeah, I mean, he's had more fights in the UFC, that's why.
Yeah. But also, you can look here at the only other, all 100% of the wins for Austen. These both guys are finishers. Austen Lane's got a little sprinkle there of some submission ability. But that might bring me right onto this then. Takedown defense for Tafa is 100%. Not enough data to be collected for Austen Lane, really. But would Austen Lane want to sort of take it to those areas or try submit someone like Tafa, as he's been able to get a submission before?
Yeah, I mean, you would think so. When you look at someone like Justin Tafa, you'd think you'd want to clinch up with him, find a way to get him down to the ground and really grind him out. Because I think that's what Jared Vandeera may have done in their fight.
With Austen Lane, yeah. I mean, you got to solve that reach problem. There's a disparity here, 6 inches. 74 to Lane's 80. So it's sizable. It's sizable. No. And once you lie him down, then I guess that advantage is gone, is the idea. So you think it's going to be a stand-up affair for the duration, but of course the goal for Tafa would be to get it to the ground and just level the playing field if possible.
For the majority, yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at it now, actually. What's quite surprising is, according to the UFC stats, Tafa's not been taken down. So, yeah, according to this, I mean... Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100% takedown defense. So,
which is good.
I think that's going to be a real struggle to get him down. Obviously, with Austen Lane, we ain't got enough data to decide. But yeah, you think that would be his best route.
Yeah. Now, if you look at what the odds are suggesting here, that's huge. A lot of people think minus 238 is the money line on Tafa, which is significant to the plus 195 in Austen Lane. So they think that his power is going to be suffice. It's going to suffice and do the job. I guess a lot of people saw the pressure put him in the first fight and thought that's going to be much continued in this next one too.
George Murray says, tougher knockout. Had a Kiwi at work, used to call Pacific Islanders coconuts because how hard their heads are. Lane pokes his other eye, and then he's probably poked the bear and will walk out with his face bloody.
That's one way of doing it. That's one end of a breakdown.
God, so detailed, George. That's insane. And Ash is going with tougher knockout. I think a first round knockout. Perhaps I would bank on. In this fight.
Look, it sounds. You got two finishers going in there at the heavyweight divisions. Like they do not do. Or they don't win.
Someone's got to fall.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Someone does have to fall. And I guess if we're putting power against power, then we've got to say Justin Tafa. But I mean, perhaps Austen Lane might see a benefit in taking it long, taking it to a decision for the first time, playing the long game. Might be smart.
Potentially.
So I think for that main reason, just going to start from the bottom again. I think I'll put cardio on Lane's side. Not to suggest that he's got it, but also just to suggest the fact that I think that would be his best chance of winning.
Yeah.
Taking it long. Tafa has lost every single decision he's come to. So it's going to be in his interest to play in the long game. But speed and power, we can go straight to Tafa, can't we? We can waste no more time. But speed, Tafa has some fast low kicks.
He does, actually. And of course, he's got some fast hands as well.
I might still go Lane because he's going to have straight to target strikes. And it's going to be looping shots from Tafa. So it might be fast hands, but from when you're throwing a punch to land, it's going to be the faster hands would be.
Tafa likes to load up quite a bit, doesn't he? Whereas Lane might just have a bit more whip to his strikes and perhaps be the quicker guy in the exchanges. Yeah. So, I'll side Lane with speed.
Okay. And then we've got grappling and striking. So this is hard.
Yep.
I think if we go on paper, we'll keep speed back for a second. Let's come at that one last. Because if we look at grappling, right, for example, if you go on paper, you've got to say Austen because he's actually had a submission, I believe. He's had
one submission on his resume, that's it.
But then you might say grappling-wise, it's going to be the kind of fight that Tafa is going to want to induce. So you might want to get close grapple. Hold on to him.
I've not seen enough of Austen Lane on the ground or even in those exchanges personally.
So grappling-wise, just because it would probably be more a method of victory suitable for Tafa, we'll put it with Tafa. Or do we go with what's on paper and say Lane is the guy to... I mean, he might get rocked quite heavy from Tafa and have to clinch up to him to mitigate the risk of those hands being, those weapons being free.
I'm just trying to cast my mind back because I swear, he ground and pounded the guy in the Contender Series.
But let's think about the clinch up against the cage too. Clinch against the cage. And
it doesn't add into grappling though. It's different.
It kind of bleeds into wrestling, and then that's what you do against the cage. You wrestle your opponent, you grapple with them.
No, wrestling and grappling are different things.
I know, but with this metric, it's not necessarily Brazilian jiu-jitsu either. Grappling, it's kind of broad in itself, being on the gauge.
It's predominantly jiu-jitsu, but
striking.
I striking.
Help us in the chat as well if you can.
I think. Yeah, Lane's gonna be. He might just be a little bit more on the technical side, but then at the same time, I think there is some elements of technicability in Tafa's game. He has come from a bit more of a kickboxing background. In fact, is he? Because I know his brother's done a lot of kickboxing. I imagine has he done quite a bit as well?
Tafa?
Yeah. Doesn't actually say here, I don't think.
Blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Samoan power, wild punches, pays, heavy to phone booth kind of scenarios. Yeah, look, it doesn't really talk too much about his ability there. But I guess when you do look at Austen Lane, he does have kind of wrestling to his game. Like, he will be clinched up against the fence. You know, if Tafa gets in too close, I think Austin's route, if he can't get out, is to wrestle. You know, he's got to hold on to him and try break free.
So it doesn't say that Tafa has a kickboxing or a boxing background prior to MMA. It notes that obviously Junior Tafa is former Glory heavyweight kickboxer. So he's not as polished, I would say, as his brother, his younger brother. Striking, I'd probably just side it with Tafa.
With striking?
Yeah.
I'll go grappling for Lane because it's on paper.
He's probably going to be mostly the one initiating it.
Yeah, and against the cage, I reckon he might be clinching up in there, and it will bleed into grappling from there. But the point is to tie up those weapons when it's in close, because he just doesn't want them to be unchecked. And then speed, we had initially Lane on that. You still confident with Lane on speed?
Yeah.
Lane for speed, and then that kind of gives us the gauges. Do you guys agree in the chats? That was a hard one.
It was a tough one.
I'm sweating.
I'll get to some chats. I mean, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that Austen Lane's going to win, because of course he could very well get clipped and get knocked out by Tafa. Because Raphael reckons that Tafa's going to get the knockout win, no doubt. And George Murray says Tafa wins, then him and Rosenstruck to break him into top 10/15. Wow, that would be some jump, George.
George is a mystic Meg here in the chats today, I'm telling you.
Yeah, Breezy says need to add another row then. The current options, I would class wrestling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu on a grappling. Yeah, we'd have to call it. Yeah, we probably should rename it if we're going to keep it under the same bracket, wrestling/grappling. But yeah, I think you're right, Breezy. Wrestling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu could easily be their own category. George Murray says, Breezy, I'd put wrestling as grappling and have Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu under its own category. So, okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I kind of put those together as well. I mean,
kind of contemplated it throughout this, throughout the year or two now, for quite a while since we've been doing the gauge like this. So we could change it.
I mean, we could. Yeah, a lot of things can branch off into a lot of things, I guess, if you look at it as well. But I mean, there's still that X factor as well you can't quite quantify. But yeah, that grappling one is probably the most vaguest one, I guess, on the board at the moment, isn't it?
Angus says he's still salty. But Angus, give us your prediction for this one. It's all right, mate. It's fine. We'll get over it. Fight night is nearly here.
Just for at the end of the show, we might come back and give it a full look of, you know, the pleasure man with blue ticks all the way up the board. Just for you. Just for you.
If you ask nicely.
If you ask very nicely.
Let's move on then to the third fight of the main card, which of course I'm excited for this one. Manel Kape versus Felipe dos Santos, because I do enjoy watching Manel Kape go to work. Bit of a patient cap in there, but he's got some skills, and when he lands big. He's in fact more well-rounded than we thought, judging from his last fight. Of course, now he's against Felipe dos Santos, who is stepping in on short notice. Now, it says there on your screen he's got no professional win, but I can tell you he's 7-0 as a professional.
So glad you got that on the screen over there as well.
Yeah.
Because if I run for that, so in the red corner we've got 18-6-0, in blue corner we got nothing.
Yeah, gotta have backups, I think, for this game.
You can't really trust or rely too much on the UFC, of course, when it comes to these stats. They have been slacking quite a bit. But yeah, look. Otherwise, we can be quite confident on the fact that height-wise, you know, Felipe dos Santos is going to be the taller guy when he comes in there. And he's also going to be the newer guy, the fresher guy, the less experienced guy. That much we know. This is going to be. I don't really think, is it a debut for him?
It is a debut, yes. Like I said, stepping in short notice. Manel Kape has had some bad luck recently with fights pulling out. Of course, he was meant to fight Kai France this weekend, and that fight would have been absolute fireworks, no doubt. Prior to that, he had cancelled bouts against Davison Figueiredo and Alex Perez. So he's been really knocking at the door in this UFC flyweight division for quite some time now. The win against David Dvorak was solid, a good decision win. Very close in finishing Dvorak, and had some good success on the ground and on the feet. But yeah, against Felipe dos Santos coming in, he's going to be a little bit of a firecracker out of the gate. Watching his last fight, he went to a decision, but what I liked about him is he's fast, but his cardio kind of remains throughout. You know, he's very good at kind of maintaining pace.
Yeah, he's very constant. High output, and he kind of throws everything. You notice that? So in the last fight, we saw him knees, we saw elbows, we saw flying knees, we saw the straight strikes on the pipe. He also looped his shots. He also took him down. Like, he's a full book. He can do it all effectively. But can he do any of them excellently? To a good degree, yes. But
and against someone of Manel Kape's level as well.
This is it.
You know, granted, he's got 2 wins by knockout and 3 by submission, 2 going to the decision. So the submissions, he's got 1 triangle choke, an arm bar, and a guillotine choke. So you know, you would say, judging from that, he's got a pretty good base of jiu-jitsu, good well-roundness of jiu-jitsu. Of course, you know, it's all different in MMA, of course, when strikes come into play. Kape, on the other hand, you know, he's had a good experience in Ryzen. He's fought the top of the division. So
it doesn't quite add up, does it, when you look at it all?
I know. It's, I mean, look, Felipe's fair enough to him. He's shooting his shot, but he really shouldn't be in there against someone as polished as Manel Kape, in my opinion.
Yeah, but this is it. I mean, Kape can be steady, kind of catch Felipe dos Santos on his entries. I have seen dos Santos come in a little bit wild. But I mean, that's something about this fighting style. This is going to be a good fight, I think, largely because Felipe dos Santos is a kind of all or nothing guy. He's kind of feast or famine. He comes in there and he does try to put an offense on his opponents with little regard to defense. Now, against Kape, deadly. That's deadly. You can run in there trying to get the job done, and Kape can just be a little bit wiser as he is, step and check, and it's all lights out, really. But, you know, I guess the thing about Felipe dos Santos, which Kape will have to look out for, is just fundamentally he's a kind of want to show you everything kind of guy, right? Yeah. He'll step in there. He might wrestle too. He might take it to the ground. I said his knees. I said his elbows. The idea is he would I guess he's about showing his opponents everything so that they suspect nothing. You know what I mean? So. Yeah. So, I mean, just the experience of Kape, I have confidence in.
Yeah, me too. And I think I put out a tweet the other day that I felt that my wild prediction for this fight is actually Manel Kape by submission. He's not got a submission yet in the UFC. He's got 5 on his resume. Most of his wins have been by knockout, which has been 11. I just feel like it's going to be one of those typical scenarios where, you know, a guy comes in first at short notice and it's somebody who might not necessarily be on your level, and therefore it's a perfect opportunity to get a submission win. It happened with Sadiq Youssef, who, you know, didn't get his first submission win, professional submission win in his resume, until he took a short notice fight against, I think it was Mike Breeden. Mike Breeden stepping in on short notice. So, you know, I think it's going to be one of those scenarios, in my opinion. So,
without doubt, Kape is a bit of a showboater, as we know, right? He's going to be someone shaking his booty in there and getting confident. And I think as he sort of starts having success, he's just going to grow in his confidence, showboating around in the octagon. I still don't think he's going to get caught by Felipe dos Santos, but I do think he's going to want to sort of showcase as something for the highlights.
Yeah. So for sure.
Keep a close eye on this fight. It's going to be exciting.
And not only that, let's not forget, he nearly submitted David Dvorak in that first round in the last fight. He was close, seconds away. You know, that Kimura was tight. It was deep. So the bell saved him there. So
these fights where you could get a submission on your highlight reel, wouldn't you rather get like a knockout though?
Of course, but he's got knockouts on him. You know, I think, you know, if you're Manel Kape, you want to show that you collect them all. You want to show that you can do it all.
All right, let's check out the gauges on this one. Let's see what it looks like. You're going to do the chats just before
I'll do the chats.
Start.
Yeah. Angus says, don't want it. I'll just wait to see your faces when he wins in the first round. Okay, so yeah, Angus is not going to look past the first fight, I'm afraid. George says, Dos Santos with the upset. Dos Santos was meant to be on Contender Series last week, but got called into this card. He's hungry for it. Dos Santos second round sub. Then him and Makayev, 2 young, hungry fighters.
Wow.
Okay, so George is laying it all on the line here for Dos Santos.
Can I just say with George as well, I love how he doesn't give short comments. Like, he really gives a full picture.
Oh, yes.
And he says it with his chest as well. You know, I know we're reading off the screen here, but I can hear him saying it with his chest. I'm just like, okay, you think so? I think it's bold though. I'm going to tell you on that comment. Probably not going to happen, but I love the confidence.
Yeah, no, I agreed. I mean, don't get me wrong. We've seen people come off of the Contender Series. They come into these short notice fights and they perform. You know, we've seen it on multiple occasions. The guy that Jack Della Maddalena fought, he stepped in short notice. Of course, Movsar Evilev's last fight against the guy whose name is it Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez gave him a tough show, but for this one, I can't see it because it's just more of a technical level for me. You know, there is some guys that you do see and you're like, yeah, this guy's ready for it.
Yeah.
But I just don't see it, I'm afraid. Ashley's Kape all day. I feel says, I see Adesanya with the upset as well. So, wow, these guys are going against Manel Kape. Angus says Kape wins and deserves a tough fight next up the rankings. I 100% agree as well. Yeah. There's been a few fighters that have been in his kind of scenario recently where just these top fights have been full for him. George says, confidence is key. Got a long drive home, so might as well entertain myself. And you guys with the predictions. Love that, George. Cracking stuff, my man.
Hell of a multitasker, I tell you. All these long messages and he's driving home at the same time.
I say don't text and drive, but as long as you've got the thing where you can speak into your phone and it does it for you, then all good.
That's probably it.
Yeah, of course. Right, so for me, striking wise, I would go for Manel.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it's silly to go Felipe dos Santos because he's just got he's got a full eclectic set of tools in his arsenal.
I don't know, they're a bit wild for me. They're a bit wild for me. I think Kape's a little bit more polished.
It's true, agreed. They're effective with Kape. They're just more, and they're quite fancy with Felipe dos Santos. Grappling. I've seen Felipe dos Santos engage in those sort of grappling scenarios, get a fight down to the ground. Then he kind of abandons it and then just does something completely different. So it's not that he doesn't utilize it effectively. So for that reason, I think I'm Kape.
Yeah. And like I said, Kape's grappling surprised me and impressed me in that last fight. Cardio. Cardio is a very difficult one because Kape's actually really good at managing his pace.
Yeah.
Really, he's not the most quickest of fighters, but on the other hand, like we said earlier, Adesanya can put on a pace and kind of almost maintain it throughout. So Cardio is a difficult one to call, I'm afraid.
It really is with this one, yeah. Let's go to power. Could we be confident with Kape on power?
Yeah.
Cool, we get that there. So. And then speed. I like the speed of Felipe dos Santos.
Yeah, I think he's quicker.
I think he's rapid. And also the point that Kape is quite a cerebral fighter. He picks his shots. He doesn't necessarily just throw things out there too rapidly. He gets his opponent to strike first before he counters. With Felipe dos Santos, it's not just speed. There's a heck of amount of quantity there too. So I'll let him have that one. And cardio, we're back here again. It's about to say.
Yeah. I'm just gonna have a quick look at Adesanya. Like I said, 3 went to decision.
Has had more decisions. He's had more decisions than Manel Kape has.
He?
Yeah, Manel Kape has got 6% of his wins come by decision.
Both guys have been to. Oh no, wait. Yeah, both guys have gone to the decision. No, Kape's gone to decision more, but he's lost more by decision.
Oh, I see.
So, yeah.
Percentage-wise is far lower than what Adesanya is, but then I guess you've got to look at the fights as well. So, okay. Look, cardio-wise, I'm a bit torn. Torn. You guys in the chat got any other comments on that as well? Do you agree where we are?
Of course. Catching up then, Ash wants to know who you're picking in this one, but George says, shush, don't tell the cops. I rate Kape fighting style, and he does deserve higher ranked fighters, but he shows off too much, and that it'll be his downfall higher up the ranks. Yeah, yes. I can probably see that.
I think he shows off when confidence is there, and I reckon he will show off tonight on the night as well.
It's third round, really.
Yeah, once he feels like he's up, he's like, yeah, this is good, and yeah. But yeah, it could be the fall of him eventually, and I can see why his showing off probably makes people want to see him lose.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, this fight, Ash, I'm going with Kape.
Yeah.
It's my pick.
Kape submission, mate.
All right, next one up.
Book it.
Book it.
All right, yes. Next up then, we're on to the
heavyweight
co-main event. Woo!
Tuivasa versus Alexander Volkov. In the red corner, we got 15-5-0. In the blue corner, we got 36-10-0. That is the Russian, that is Volkov. Now, the biggest advantages here, you'll notice immediately as they step into octagon, because there's a height advantage for Volkov here, 6'7", to Tuivasa 6'2". And then a reach advantage of 5 inches to Volkov's 8-inch wingspan, opposed to Tuivasa's 75. So look, immediately you're going to look at this matchup and think, you're tall, you're small, you're going to want to get a fight to the ground for or getting close, and you're going to want to keep this long working behind your jab. So that's like the story of old. That's the obvious thing. Do you think it'll play out like that?
Well, I don't know. To be honest, first of all, let's get into this. Tuivasa's coming off of 2 back-to-back losses against guys who are in the top end of the division. So he's tested himself against those guys. Yep. And I felt he done quite a good job against Ciryl Gane. All right? Despite the fact that Ciryl did dance around, picked him apart, and, just really wore in his body and got the finish eventually. But let's not forget, Tuivasa did catch Gane, all right? He did knock him down, which is quite impressive. On the other hand, you got Volkov, who... he's fought the who's who in the division, but he's coming off of 2 solid TKO victories, in my opinion. Now, you could say that maybe the Rozenstruik one was controversial. Herb Dean, did he step in too early? After watching it back last night, I felt that it wasn't too early, because if Herb hadn't stopped or hadn't butted in, then I felt that Volkov was going to be controlling him on the ground, because Rozenstruik was on his knees anyways. So there was a TKO coming up. Yeah. It was inevitable. Yeah. So
Volkov had that.
And then other than that, the Romanov one, again, Romanov was a tricky cap because he's thick, he's big, and he's a heavy wrestler. Once this guy gets you down, you're not getting back up again. He's going to smother you, wear you out. Done well again in the takedown defense. Well, actually, to be fair, I think he may have had to stuff 1 takedown defense, because in that fight I felt that it was a bit odd that Romanov wasn't shooting against Volkov. Volkov's a much more polished striker, but Volkov, man, he just put it on him. Stuffed the takedown, flattened him out on his back, ground and pounded him, and really made Romanov quit, because Romanov, we've seen in his recent fights, he's had a tendency to quit pretty easily. So
yeah, it's just when it's not going his way, because he had a hell of a streak. This guy was a revered fighter coming into the heavyweight. He brought a problem which a lot of heavyweights weren't able to solve. That was the wrestling. He did so well. And then, he got broke by, was it Rozenstruik? And then later broke by Volkov. And it's just in those 2 fights, you saw a different guy. I think a lot of people just looked at that and was like, this is not the same Romanov that we feared coming up. Because, he had a heck of a streak. He left a heck of a wake behind him as he came through. But a bit of a different character now. Yeah. But doesn't take anything away from Volkov, who just did it in spectacular fashion.
No, and what also makes it impressive for Volkov is when you look at his win against Rozenstruik. Rozenstruik has had some losses against heavy hitters. 1 technical striker, which was for Ciryl Gane, who's a lot lighter on his feet, and the wrestler of Curtis Blades, and that was it.
Yep.
So on paper, going into that fight, you probably would have fancied Rozenstruik to get the win there. But it wasn't that meant to be, and I think that's why it makes this fight ever so intriguing, because Tuivasa, he can land heavy against these more technical guys.
One thing that can be said about Volkov, and in his last 2 fights, he has made his opposition, who have been revered, feared, and dangerous, look silly. And that's impressive to do against Rozenstruik and against Alexander Romanov as well. So, look, something's swaying in his way. Does that continue to a 3rd fight? Is he going to be able to best Tuivasa again? Talking about this particular fight, one thing I think that would be silly not to utilize is the blueprint that Gane set out against Tuivasa.
Yes.
Teep kicks.
Yes. However, teep kicks all day for Volkov. However, what's different to the 2 there is, of course, the movement of Ciryl Gane. Volkov's not quite got that movement there. And that, for me, makes me think that perhaps maybe if Tuivasa's able to get on the inside, that he could very well land heavy and put Volkov away.
Yeah, it gets a bit more exciting when you look at it that way as well. Whilst Volkov has the weapon of Tuivasa's demise, Tuivasa has the ability to catch Volkov when he's looking his best as well, because he like I said, he caught Gane, and Volkov moves a lot less.
Yes.
So
And not only that, you've got
exciting.
a home advantage for Tai Tuivasa as well. I think that's going to play heavily into this fight, in my opinion.
Yep. And look, let's see what the odds are saying here, because this is an interesting one. We've got plus 164 for Tai Tuivasa and minus 198 for Volkov. Now, I guess a lot of people are looking at Volkov using the same tools that Garn used to defeat Tuivasa. A lot of people seeing
and
it that way.
Tuivasa is coming off of 2 straight losses. Volkov's coming off of 2 straight wins. So, look, if you're a betting man, I think Tai Tuivasa is a solid pick.
Yeah, it wouldn't be too silly to say so. You could catch him. And look, level of competition wise, yes, Volkov made his recent guys look a bit silly, but Tai Tuivasa has just been grinding his teeth against the best. Let's get those gauges ready. You get chats.
I've got the chat. So George Murray says, want to say bam bam KO, but I can see Volkov stealing a decision, but it'll be a barn burner. Tai with stone hands, but Volkov is Dolph Lundgren, the Russian, will come out strong and fast with his range. Yes, indeed. This is why this fight is so intriguing. You're damn right there. If you want to pick Volkov, then Volkov decision is your best bet.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Because Tai Tuivasa is tough.
He is.
Is tough. And don't even get talking about the power in Sergey's hands.
Sergey put him in survival mode quick in that fight.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen to Tai Tuivasa. Everything else historically, you've seen this guy weather all sorts. You saw. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say that Garn was somewhat of a tryhard against him, because when you look at the way Sergey put Tai Tuivasa away.
Oh, it's different though. It's 2 different styles though.
I'm talking about the power.
Power is different. Power is different. Garn doesn't have Pavlovich power.
No.
Garn's going to pick you apart and put you away later on in the rounds, which he did against Derek Lewis prior as well.
But the point I'm talking about is that yes, the chin of Tai Tuivasa is pretty incredible. Because not saying that Garn doesn't have the power, he does. But Tai Tuivasa went a good couple of rounds with that. It's just
Garn's
another world.
Garn's not got one.
We won't bring that into the picture.
He's not got one punch power.
No, we won't bring Sergey into the picture yet either, because that's another world.
George Murray says, new UFC merch reveal with new UFC 5 game trailer. The new stuff is dope. Picked up in Paris at the meet and greet. I did see that, actually. I did see the little people wearing it. It does look good, must admit. Need to see more of it, though, I think, in my opinion. I don't think it's even on website yet, to be fair. Because I've even had a little look. But back in and then to this fight, then we should probably get up the gauges to decipher who is going to get the edge. Because I think striking is going to be difficult in this. We know Tai Tuivasa's got power. That's without a doubt. I actually kind of want to give Tai speed as well.
Yeah, he's got fast kicks. I would as well. I would. It's not silly to give Tai speed just because Volkov's a little bit slower at throwing those hands, but he does. It's a bit sluggy. And then power, of course. Yes, you got Tai there. Grappling. I think those clinch scenarios against the cage is going to be initiated by Volkov. I know he's a longer guy. I know he's taller, but against the cage, he might see success holding on to Tai, just wrapping up the weapons and then knee in the body.
But I think Tai's going to be very strong and very good in reversals.
Yeah.
Because, I think we saw that against Derek Lewis when he went clinch for clinch with Lewis.
Yeah, just kind of shrugged him off. But Tai doesn't want it. He doesn't stay there. He kind of shrugs it off and gets back to the striking, doesn't he? And then I guess it's Volkov who's going to want to do that if the hands are not checked. But what about striking then? So I guess we'll go Volkov because he's got more weapons. Because we've got to look at that teep kick. That comes into striking too.
It does. I would say Volkov's got probably more tools in his toolbox in terms of striking wise. Whereas, of course, Tai got good low kick.
Fast hands, power.
Fast boxing, yeah. More of a heavy hit, similar to a Tafa in a lot of ways. So
it gives us grappling.
What do you reckon, guys?
It gives down the grappling for tiebreaker.
It does. But George says Volkov will wear Tai down like Garn, but I think Tai will be the one setting the pace. In my mind, he's a big boy, but his gas tank has gotten so much better in recent fights. Yeah, true. I mean, looking at the submissions, so Volkov's got 3 wins by submission and 3 losses by submission, whereas I don't think Tai's got a single
takedown accuracy for Volkov is at 70%, and of course his defense is up there and his averages is higher too. So I guess on paper, I love doing it on paper because then I can just wash my hands of the decision. It does suggest Volkov. And that's what we'll let
Yeah, not only that, that's not to add, I think Volkov did really well against Marcin Tybura fighting off the takedowns. And that kind of impressed me in that one because I thought Tybura was going to beat him in that, which is quite frustrating. I'm going to have a look now at the number of times. So obviously Aspinall took Volkov down twice. Blades took him down 14 times, but that's Curtis Blades. You're going to expect that.
Yeah.
Fabricio Verdum took him down twice. Warren Nelson, of course, took him down. These are all grapplers.
Defense is still at 73%.
Yeah. For guys who can wrestle and can grapple, that's who's taking him down.
Yeah.
Against people who can't.
Tuivasa
go for it.
I think he's got good chances.
Yeah.
Well, look, that sells it for us, and I think we're looking at the gauges as such. What's your thoughts, JK? Would you still sit in the blue corner, looking at how confidently that sides, or would you still go for Tuivasa?
Like I said, home advantage for Tuivasa. I think he's going to get the knockout on this. Somebody's got a feeling. Yeah. You know.
There's always an X factor as well that you can't quite.
I know, and Volkov could very well surprise me in this, and
he's been making people look silly lately, hasn't he? But yeah, look, I myself as well. I do think that I think I'll go with. Oh no, I feel sick now. Okay, I'll go Volkov in this one.
Whoa!
I'll go Volkov. The tools. Nah, but then I guess movement as well. Nah.
He's going to be on the outside for the majority of the fight, I think.
Yeah. And how much do you reckon Tuivasa would have learned from his last one? He's going to have the durability too.
I mean, look, I don't think you can learn too much in that Pavlovich fight.
I think Tuivasa weathers Volkov's attempts to kick the gut, go to the body, and he does it just enough to find his opportunity to get it to his chin. Because he doesn't need 3 rounds. I think Tuivasa can find Volkov's chin in like the first or second. The way he moves is quite good. So I guess I'm in the red corner now with Tui. It's tough. It's tough. All right, on to the next one.
Yeah, let's hit it on main event time. One quick chat though from George Murray says Volkov win, then him versus the Polar Bear. Spivak, Bam Bam wins, then he's him and Blades. Yeah, that's looking ahead, George. That is pretty solid. Yeah, I would like to see Spivak versus Tuivasa. Makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. Spivak, I think, would have a good chance of getting Bam Bam down in that fight as well. Which he's so good at doing and grinding people out down there. So,
Spivak I like that one. And Volkov, though, I believe. I think that was the one. Spivak and Volkov.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Oh, okay. I completely read that wrong. No, I was thinking Tuivasa versus Spivak. But yeah, no, Volkov versus Spivak, I think would make some sense as well.
It'll probably go decision, maybe, but it'll be a little bit similar to Tuivasa.
Right, for the main event time, right?
All right, Izzy versus Sean Strickland.
You guys, who are you going for? Come on.
Israel Adesanya's in the red corner. He's got 24, 2 losses and 0. Then you got Sean Strickland with 27 and 5. Now you've got height-wise, Israel Adesanya's just being slightly taller. Reach-wise, he's got a 4-inch reach advantage as well. So with this particular matchup, are we going to see Izzy staying at range, picking at Sean Strickland, or are you going to see Sean Strickland just walking down his prey and death by 1,000 paper cuts, chipping
I've
away?
Already visualized this fight. I just know how it's going to go.
Yeah.
Just for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of talk heading into this fight about Sean Strickland and whether or not he's the type of fighter who would take on coach's advice and really someone who goes back into the gym and really works on his craft and define the things that he's not so good at.
Right.
I can't see that. From what we see of Sean Strickland, he is very much somebody who just wants to fight. He just wants to scrap. He wants to go in there, lay hands and see what happens. And for me, with that mentality, I can't see a fight that's any different to the Alex Pereira fight. I really can't. You know, I think this kind of his style really plays into Izzy's hands. Strickland's going to, of course, march forward with that Philly shuffle and try and put a pace on Izzy, but Izzy's movement's going to be too much, and I think it's going to be the story of the fight.
It'll be a heck of an upset if it was to go that way. And look, you're right. I think there's, if we look at how did Sean Strickland lose against Pereira, it was power, it was speed, and I think it was effectively speed, wasn't it?
And just overall striking IQ.
Yeah, striking IQ as well. And at least 2 or 3 of those things Izzy's got in the bag.
Yeah.
At least 2 or 3 of those things he's got in the bag. And in this fight, there's been speculation about Sean Strickland taking this to the ground. Now, get the grappling numbers up here for the audience as we talk about it. But do you think that will happen? Is that just talk? Because, the guys were asking in the chat earlier at the front end of the show as well. And I heard him say that against Pereira. Oh, I got his takedown ability now. You can do the impression better than I can. But did we see it? No.
We didn't, no. The question is, are we going to see it this time? That's the ultimate thing. But I don't think... he's kind of said it in interviews himself. He's like, I've been training grappling, but... it doesn't mean that I'm going to do it when I step in the octagon. He says, when I step in the octagon, CTE kicks in, and I just go for it, So, and that's what I can kind of see. I think, if I'm his coaches, I'm going to be screaming takedown attempts. Yeah. But I just, with Izzy and the way that he's been able to shrug off people in the past, Marvin Vettori to name one. Okay, Marvin got him down for a brief period, but wasn't able to do much with it. So. Yeah,
Izzy was able to find his feet once again.
Yeah, so I can't see Strickland having any advantage in that area. It would have to be a Hail Mary. It would just have to be a shot that perhaps, whether or not Izzy comes in there, underestimates Sean Strickland and gets clipped, and then Sean jumps on his back and submits him that way. Let's not forget, right, that Izzy... Oh, do you know what? I completely forgot what I was going with this now. It just came into my mind and then it disappeared. No, that's what I was going to say. Apparently the UFC didn't want Strickland to take this fight.
Right.
They didn't want to make this fight. That's what I've heard.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Right? Yeah, it doesn't make sense in a lot of ways. But apparently Izzy requested the fight and he said let me finish this guy. Let me finish this guy. Because look, if you're the UFC, why would you want someone like Strickland as your champion? But they're rolling the dice here.
Izzy had a pretty attractive win streak prior to his loss, his recent losses. And I think he wants to get back up to those numbers again. And he just needs to put fights like this to sort of help him sort of stockpile and get back to having 4 fight win streaks, 5 fight win streaks.
In my opinion, I think Strickland and Dricus du Plessis are going to be his easiest fights. And I think the UFC are going to quite happily feed him these fights. And later on down the line, set up the trilogy with Pereira. I think that's what they're trying to target. They're going to test Pereira in the light heavyweight division, see if he wins the belt there, and then if he does, that's where they're going to
do it.
Super fight.
And that would be a narrative I'm on board for as well.
I'm personally not, because I'm against trilogies where one fight is in another division. But I can see that the UFC are going to try and make that move.
It's got a quite an attractive story ring to it, in my opinion. But and fundamentally too, if we look at where Izzy Adesanya is going to be getting some advantages here, it's his ability to go low and go high against Strickland. Now, I've seen Strickland defend strikes before, and how, you talk about striking IQ, he tends to sort of block up or even go to meet the strikes.
He's very flinchy. And that's how Pereira was able to kind of catch him.
And Izzy can just go low and then go high with that switch kick of his and catch him in many ways. There's going to be a lot of ways that Izzy can find it through here. So we could probably get straight to the gauges with it, but I'm interested to see what the odds are saying on this one. Minus 600 for Izzy Adesanya in the red corner and plus 440 for Sean Strickland. So that's one of the biggest disparities we've seen in odds on this card. A lot of people are incredibly confident with Izzy Adesanya. Got the tools for this.
People other than Izzy and Pereira do find it hard to actually catch Strickland, because Strickland kind of does a lot of sparring. He puts himself into the fire every training session, and that's how he's developed his striking defense, right? With that shell. But against elite kickboxers, it just doesn't really work.
Yeah. Let's talk real quickly, and we'll get the gauges up on his last fight against Abbas, right? Because against Abbas,
he looked good.
He outsmarted him, I guess, if you like, for to be trying to. He out IQ'd him, didn't he?
Yeah.
He definitely did, because Abbas came striking with his kicks were a problem in that first round for Sean. The teep kicks, the long kicks, and these are all kicks that Izzy has as well. Bearing in mind, the thing is, Abbas gave up on him, and he got tired.
He faded,
and he really just didn't have the gas tank for it. And it was the perfect rookie fight, because you can see that the guy had no experience, not been in there before that kind of level, and he just faded and tired, as you say. So, the thing is, the experience is on Izzy's side, and he could do what Abbas did in that fight and continue it for a bit longer and have what he does. He doesn't have to work that hard. He can get a job done. But it was Sean who outworked Abbas in that last fight and was just smarter, because he weathered that storm and then he came in strong. Now, would he weather the storm of Izzy and come out strong in the end? He might just come up short at the end, because you'd have to be waiting a long time to sort of outweather a storm like Israel Adesanya, with his experience and his durability and his track record. So.
That's true. George says Strickland first round knockout and does a TikTok dance over Izzy. Do you know what? Yeah, I think Izzy said that, I think, in the press conference, didn't he?
Just after I start thinking George is like this guru wizard, driving the car, putting his chats in one hand and probably got like a chick in his other hand. Then he kind of says something like that, and
he knows his stuff.
Does he?
He's just repeating he's repeating what Izzy said.
Oh, knockout.
Oh, Strickland first round knockout.
Yeah,
sorry,
I did TikTok dance.
Yeah, the TikTok dance bit was what Izzy said. I think,
gotcha.
in the press conference. But yeah, I wish that's the case. He says Izzy wants to knock Sean's head off clean and leave it on a stake, but I think he gonna want to prove himself and everyone wrong, and he'll rear naked choke him. As the king of the jungle, he'll play with his food. I'm kidding, side. Please don't take it seriously.
Phew. All right, he's back on the pedestal. He's back on the pedestal. All right, cool. Yeah, look, it's decent enough, isn't it? I think how this is probably going to play out. Let's have a quick look at the gauges and see if we can wrap this one up in speed, because cardio-wise, I might have to go both of them, just because Izzy's got cardio, and Sean Strickland just does not go backwards.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a reverse setting.
That's
the guy
fair.
is constantly in gear forwards.
I'll give Izzy speed, Izzy power, grappling to Strickland.
Oh, power to Izzy as well.
I actually would. Yeah. Strickland's not got much pop in his power. His
wins
punches.
by. He goes decisions a lot, doesn't he? Strickland.
Yes, our boy. Broken Native back in the day. His YouTube name used to be Broken Native. I'm not going to try and pronounce your name again, buddy, because I'm too embarrassed. But he says Izzy all the way. I mean, like I said, I'd give grappling to Strickland, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of if there's a way to do it, that's how he would. And then striking up to Izzy again. Yeah,
I just think, Strickland's going to have better wrestling than Izzy.
If he uses it at all. Yeah. If anyone uses it, it would be Strickland. Good point. And then I guess striking, we all know this. Yeah. This is why I personally thought it shouldn't be a fight that happens. But you know what? Take it.
Come on, you guys. It's a whitewash across the floor. I got better striking than this guy. I got better speed than this guy.
That's another thing as well. I think a lot of this pre-build up, like talking, it's Sean Strickland utilizing everything he can to find an advantage. He's just trying to play mind games, because he kind of knows that in the octagon, he doesn't really have the skill set and the ability to get it done there. So he's trying to put everything out. He's putting everything out. He's going hard. He's going as much as he can before he gets onto that canvas, just so he helps his chances as much as possible. Whether it's working, I don't know. I feel like Izzy's got a bit of a fortified mind, but Sean Strickland's going to try.
I'm just so look, I'm in the head, man.
No, I to be honest, I'm really excited for the press conference, which is actually happening tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. UK time. So, man, I'm going to be tuning into that at work, that's for sure. I'm going to have that in all ears.
Yeah, I'll have that on the ears as well. But
that's it.
That'd be good.
But yeah, my prediction would be Izzy knockout round 2.
Oh, yeah, should we put a knockout in this one? My prediction would be, when did he knock out Pereira?
Who?
Izzy. 3? Round 3?
Round 2? I think it was round 2.
Round 2. In that case, I reckon he's going to do it quicker. I say round. Okay. Sean Strickland's durable. He'll be able to last at least a round. Round 3 is what I'm going to say. Round 3. He's going to play with his food a little bit.
Okay.
just to be different. Round 2 or 3. Round 2 or 3.
I mean,
I gotta be round 2 as well, but I don't want to say the same as you.
If Izzy takes this distance like he did with Jared Cannonier and Robert Whittaker, I think people are going to fall off the bandwagon with him again.
Yeah.
And lose interest.
Yeah. I mean,
Pereira made Izzy interesting again, I'm afraid.
Sean Strickland is relatively defensively responsible until he gets offensively focused. You know, he can kind of put some holes in his guard as he's trying to hit you. And that's where Izzy's just got to be smart and find a target. Then he can put him away. Otherwise, keep it in his shell and then you'll be going the distance.
Yeah, I got to agree with Sean, who says the way Sean... Agree with George. The way Sean has his hands and the way he flinched a lot. Izzy with question mark kick all night long.
Yeah, he sees it.
Yeah, I agree.
Go low then go high.
That's it.
Roll high. Well, guys, that is the end of it.
Boom.
Wow, we got through it. This is UFC 293. Adesanya versus Strickland. It's going to be on Saturday night. We're going to be watching at 3 a.m. our time in the morning. And you guys over in the States, what time is that? It's going to be like 9 p.m. in the afternoon?
I think 7 p.m. Pacific time.
And if you're in Australia, then you have
9 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Pacific time, I believe.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, either still, get the notifications put on a channel. The link for the live stream and watch along is up on our channel already. So make sure, you click the reminder on the video or just the reminder or notifications bell on our channel. And guys, amazing chats as always.
Yep. Thanks for chiming in. Thanks for your opinions. George Merry, that was lovely. He's got one more chat there. Let's quickly get that up before we go.
And as I just get home, you lot end. Thanks for the evening entertainment, mate. All the time, George. Thanks for being there, and we'll see you this weekend, buddy.
All this time you thought you were Mystic Meg. It was us. We knew. We just knew.
That's it.
All right, guys. Love, peace, chicken grease.
Ciao for now. Bye-bye.